Alright guys, Shay here, and even about to you guys as well. So I just wanted to talk about England's test squad and the chopping and changing and this kind of approach to this resting play at certain times, palaver if you want to call it that, and the kind of issues that England have endured and the criticism they've faced and how they backtracked a little bit actually as well. So if we go through to the squad, there's actually been a change the last couple of days. But anyway, it was initially announced for the first two test matches it's going to be the squad. So it's Joe Root, Moeen Ali, Dom Bess, Stuart Broad, Rory Burns, Josh Butler, Zach Crawley, Ben Folkes, Dan Lawrence, Jack Leach, Ben Stokes, Ollie Stone, Dom Sibley, Chris Wokes, Jofra Archer and James Anderson. So since that time, since that squad's been announced, there's been a couple of changes now. Josh Butler was meant to be available for the first two tests. Now it's just the first test. So he's going to leave after the first test. Ben Folkes will come into the side. Jonny Bairstow is someone I want to talk about today in this video. Because now, after, I think, obviously there was a lot of criticism that was thrown England's way from a lot of high-profile ex-players such as Peterson and Vaughan. And a couple others as well came out, and Last Hussein as well, actually, in quite passionate disagreement with what's been done over Jonny Bairstow in particular. The fact obviously there was some resting of various players, but we'll get into that in a bit more detail. But obviously Jonny Bairstow's situation, I also concur with that, with what Hussein and et al. have come out with. I mean, I think as Peterson said that, or Michael Vaughan, I can't remember that, Bairstow looked most comfortable at the top three and on these, in the subcontinental conditions. Now, he averaged 46.33 in the Sri Lanka series, second top scorer behind Joe Root. Obviously, in a mammoth amount of runs, didn't he? So, but Jonny Bairstow, and I said I'd give Jonny Bairstow a shitload of flack, especially going into Sri Lanka series, because I felt like he had no right to be so kind of gung ho on his position. The fact that nothing to prove, I just call bullshit, and I still believe he has something to prove. But the reality is he quit himself well in Sri Lanka, and then to be told, I mean, what was annoying me really was the timing of the announcement. So prior to that second test, he was told you're gonna play, basically gonna be dropped to the first two tests against India. That was what's going to happen. Now, after what happened, the backlash that they received, Ed Smith and co, they've now reduced to one test. After the first test, Jonny Bairstow will be available to play tests 2, 3 and 4. My issue with this whole chopping and changing, there's a variety of reasons. I understand there's obviously a huge year. I've just done a video on the fact that England have a massive year cricket ahead. They've got marquee test series throughout, obviously India home and away, New Zealand who also do flying high at the moment at home in 2 test matches, and then obviously the Ashes end of the year. Massive year. Then you throw in a T20 World Cup, obviously it has a lot of importance. Obviously with England being the reigning 50 over champions, they'll want to become the reigning T20 20 over champions as well. Obviously in India it's going to be tough, but England going to be well drilled and looking to obviously to pick up that trophy as well. So it's a massive year of cricket for England. I understand that 3 format players, which I don't believe Jonny Bairstow is. He's obviously not cemented at all his place in the test side, but he's obviously got a lot of passion to don the England white shirt again. So the timing annoys me. The fact you're telling a guy, even prior to the second test happening, you're telling him, irrespective of what the fuck you do, it doesn't matter, you can score a double 100, you're not playing in India for the first 2 test matches. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. This guy could be rested from the ODIs for sure. England have plenty of top order white ball options, plenty. So they're going to rest him from the ODIs. I know this about the Super League, I'm aware of that, but it's still 2 years away. There's still an opportunity for them to rest and then bring him back in later on in the year for the match against Sri Lanka, for example, when they come over for the ODIs. To make sure it's more of a banker. So, because to win in India, even the ODI cricket is going to be very difficult. So, anyway, I personally think that Jonny Bairstow could have been rested from that. But you think to yourself, okay, that's the first thing that just really annoys me, the timing of it. This guy also, you can't mention about bubbles in his respects because he signed up for the Melbourne Stars for the entire tournament. 2 months long, we know that. Finishes February 6th, started December 10th. It's almost 2 months. He signed up for that tournament. He signed up for it, right? So he was prepared to go into a bubble there. Now, I know it's a bit more lax there, but it's still a COVID bubble. He still do his quarantine, etc. We saw cricketers pull out. We saw Tom Panton, Tom Curran. They both pulled out from the BBL because they didn't want to enjoy another bubble. Jonny Bairstow was willing to go into that. So don't give me this bubble bullshit about like, oh yeah, if he has to go into the bubble, has to be wary of burnout, etc. Because he's going to go and do that. He turned down what I'm sure was a lucrative contract with the Melbourne Stars to play for England in this Test series and cement his place going into the Test series as well. Not to play one Test and say, you know what, Johnny, we did well in the first Test match, but that was at 47 out in that first Test. Even that, I think it was 47 and 35 now, wasn't it? Where they chased on the small total at the end, him and Dan Lawrence. But it's just to say to him then after the first Test, you know what, Johnny, mate, you've done well, but irrespective of what you do in the second Test match, you're not going to play in India at the beginning. Now, the renegade, as I mentioned, is cut down from 2-1, which is a good thing. I don't think it should have been there at all. I think it should have played. It also, it played from should be available from the first Test. It also, the problem is this as well, it's very unsporting like. It's not really the name of professional sport. Going to India, in particular, if you're playing a weaker side, okay, fair enough, I get it, but you're going to India, it's not acceptable to me that we accept in some quarters. I feel that if we lose to India, it's okay. We don't want to get smashed like we did again, 4 years ago. We don't want that to happen, repeat what happened in that 16-17 series, well, India, Pound, 700, etc. I don't think that will happen. I think England will be more competitive side this time. That being said, I still feel like in some quarters it's a case of, okay, we've not, won the series, okay, we can go home. If you can win India, imagine the momentum and the impetus they'll create for them. I'm telling you now, if England win in India, they will absolutely no fucking doubt, they will go to Australia thinking they can win. They will think we can win. If we win India, and listen, the old boxing phrase, it's chess not checkers. Just because India beat Australia, and if we beat India, doesn't mean we beat Australia. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if we can win in India, imagine that. Imagine how England cricket team would be viewed. They'd be probably viewed, arguably. There's a claim to say the best side in the world. They can obviously prove it anyway end of the year. It depends on what margin they win by, or the middle of the year. Sorry, in the World Test Championship. But the point is, if they win in India, they'd be considered. To me, you could argue them for the best side in the world. But anyway, I've gone to that in a different video. But the point is, you can't just. It's not a throwaway series. It's a marquee series. It's in India. England fans deserve better, than to kind of have this bits and pieces side. I'm not saying it's bits and pieces side, probably the wrong terminology, but just not a side that's just like, okay, we're resting this guy, he's done well, but we're still going to rest him because of what burnout, etc. Pick your formats, in my opinion. Don't pick half a Test series. Test cricket to me is still the pinnacle, but obviously this year I appreciate T20 cricket is important. But with Test cricket, this year culminating in the Ashes series, it's a massive year for England. It's a massive year, And I look at the top three as well. If you've got Burns now, as obviously rejoined the squad, he's back in there. You've got Sibley, you've got Crawley. Ollie Popper's not part of the squad officially, although he obviously played in the warm-up game, then he before the Sri Lanka series. I think he will be drafted into the squad at some point, especially if England lose the first Test match. I think Pope will come back in. But we'll see. We'll see anyway. But obviously Archer's back. Ben Stokes is back. So that's obviously great. Roots and great form. Anderson's there. Broad's there. Moeen Ali. Okay, he's probably going to play. I think in this series, being on the wicket, I think he might take Sam Curran's spot rather than Chris Wokes. And bat at 7. So we'll see. And there's a third spinner to best in Leach. But anyway, for another time. The point is, the squad looks good. Josh Butler, unfortunately, is leaving after the first Test. But again, like that can swallow a little bit more. I mean, the problem is though with this, this is what devalues the sport, and it's not sporting like. If he scores a double 100 in that first Test match, and England win that Test match because of Butler, and then England go on to lose the series, what would the backlash be then? It would be the case of, well, you had Josh Butler who scored you a double, wanting a test match, and then you sent him home. Now I get why, but there's got to be a balance to this. The timing is also wrong for me as well. You can't just premeditate this, because I think also, to me, you're fucking with people's careers, especially in Bairstow's case. Especially in Bairstow's case. You are fucking with people's careers. Because you're saying to people, irrespective of how you do, you're going home anyway, you're being rested. How does that play in a guy's mind? That irrespective of what I do here, I'm not going to play, and I'll be brought back in to the side when a guy who's performed well is coming out, so I now get my place back. You're not there on merit. You're not being dropped on merit, you're not coming in on merit. It doesn't make any sense. There has to be a better structure and approach to resting these players in these series. That's what I'm trying to get at. And I think, right now, do I want Rory Burns come back into the side, or do I want Jonny Bairstow there? Listen, Rory Burns, I'm a Surrey fan, but he's averaging 32 at test level. He's not done really anything of any serious note on a consistent basis to say, Rory Burns, oh my god, he should be back in the side. No. Crawley flopped in both test matches. Said he did well, obviously, with that 50 in the second test match, but it looks okay. But it doesn't look that solid, does it? You know what I mean? So, don't you want Jonny Bairstow there in that top three? I'd like Root there, but Root doesn't want to go 3, he wants to stay 4. Ollie Pope, as he was fit. Okay, Pope can go at 3, fair enough. But I just don't think England are good enough to say, okay, got players actually in form, you're being rested. And I think in Bairstow's case, that's totally wrong. I don't think that should have been done. Josh Butler, 3-format player as well. Very much a well-established, firmly established 3-format player. And listen, he could not play white ball cricket until the summer. It wouldn't matter. He's firmly entrenched in those white ball sides. He could be rested for the next 6 months for white ball cricket. They've got white ball games against India. I think just quickly get the schedule for them. But I'm sure they've got T20s and they've got ODIs. Yeah, they've got 5 T20s and 3 ODIs. You could rest him from both of them. You don't need to play those 8 matches. But, play him in the 4 tests and then say, right, you're missing the white ball leg. You can go home and relax. So I just don't get it. I'm not in favour of it, of the timing of it. And also, trying to describe this properly, but I just don't feel it's very sporting-like to change your side like this, in this way. I think it's not correct in the professional sporting arena. I don't believe it's right. I just don't agree with it. So yeah, I hope I get my points across a little bit, hopefully. I'll say I'm not in favour of Bairstow being dropped at all. This rest rotation policy, yes, but I think it should base more on format as opposed to anything else. And I think certain series should be given its due credit. And I think India versus England is a marquee series, and I feel like we're undervaluing, underestimating the huge effect it would have on the England cricket team is if we were to win in India. I think that would be absolutely massive going into the rest of the year. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys. Drop below. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, as I always say. And hopefully, yeah, I will see you on the next one. Cheers.